Okay, go. Thank you.
Good morning, Whitney Center. I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you for joining us for this for September's town meeting. I'm Mike Rambrose, President and CEO. Hopefully, we won't have to do this remotely too much longer, but we know we have a few more months ahead of us of this. So again, thank you for joining us, and I hope you find this morning's meeting informative. Before we open up the meeting, I'd like to welcome just a few new residents who've joined us recently. Mrs. Stephanie Jatlow in apartment 2410, Mr. Perry Lavelle and Mrs. Barbara Oberg in apartment 235, Mr. Daniel and Mrs. Susan Wozner in apartment 2503, and Mrs. Betty Sussman in apartment 541. I'd like to welcome you to Whitney Center. Hopefully we'll get to meet in person very, very soon. I'd like to ask Maria LaSala, our spiritual care coordinator, to open our meeting up with a few words. Maria?
Thank you, Mike. Hello, friends. I am Maria LaSala, your spiritual care coordinator. I'm delighted to be with you. There is much to occupy our hearts and minds these days. We are 6 months into a global pandemic, which has changed everything we once knew. If that isn't enough, fires out in the West are burning out of control. Our politics continue to divide us, and we remain a people worried for ourselves, our loved ones, and this community. So it is fair to say that we are tired. We are weary. It is one thing to need to stay apart from one another for a few weeks. It is a very different thing now that we are going on 6 months. This is true even when we have some degree of choice in how much we interact with others. All of us have met with different kinds of sacrifice. We have had to give up much as we have sought to stay healthy as a society, as individuals, and within the Whitney Center community. Harder still is not knowing when things might return to normal, when we might be able to sit with friends and share a meal, or extend a hug, or even a handshake. I last hugged my own mom on March 5th. Such a time this has been. And yet, I wake each morning, the new day starting with no mistakes in it. I arrive here and I see strength, courage, and resilience all around me, all around us. Have you not seen it? Have you not heard about the ways this community is caring for each other, reaching out in familiar ways like phone calls, and in newer ways too, with so many Zoom and FaceTime experts? The prophet Isaiah knows something about a people who are afraid, uncertain of what the future holds. Hearing their concerns, Isaiah reminds his listeners of their own strength. God gives power to the faint and strengthens the powerless. Even youths will faint and be weary, and the young will fall exhausted. But those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. It seems daring to have hope these days, but there is reason to hope. This is not the first pandemic in human history, and it is not the worst one. We will keep on. We will see a better day. Of that, we can be sure. As you know, we have lost 4 friends from the Whitney Center community. John Bennett, one of our Thrive at Home members, Shirley Chasen, Janice Latham, and Miriam Bilski. We remember them now, thankful for their lives lived among us. And friends, this Friday marks the day of remembrance for the servicemen and women who remain missing in action or are prisoners of war. And at sundown on Friday, the Jewish holy days begin with the celebration of Rosh Hashanah, the welcome of a new year, continuing through the days of awe of Yom Kippur. And soon it will be fall. And with it comes more change as we observe the changing colors of the leaves on the trees, offering us reason for delight and a reminder that seasons come and seasons go, and we too continue on. May we continue to care for one another, especially the lonely and vulnerable among us, reaching out in love, extending kindness to friend and neighbor, with hope that we will have strength, courage, and love enough for the living of our days. Be well, friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. We appreciate your encouragement. Thank you. So now I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Phyllis Medvedow, President of the Residents Council. Phyllis?
Morning, everyone. I am Phyllis Medvedow, as Mike has said, and I just want to report on many things. And our meeting was a very long meeting because there are many issues that were of strong concern to the residents. However, others will be reporting on that later on, Thomas and Ken and Peggy. But I hope that you've all seen the locked boxes in the north and south lobbies. It has been extremely important for the residents to know that their ballot applications or their actual ballots will be safe. And I can't tell you how many phone calls I've had asking about this. Well, Floyd Kaplan has taken it upon himself, really, to act as our leader in this very important issue. Due to his credit and to Gina, we have this. And I hope you've all seen it, sent to every resident, telling them that they can mail their ballot applications or ballots there. Resident council members will empty these out twice a week and bring them to Hampton Town Hall in one car. And this will ensure safe handling of all envelopes. As I said, we're very grateful to Floyd Kaplan and Gino Giancola for making the boxes and getting everything done in 24 hours. Floyd, Gino, and Melissa DeGrand did an amazing job in those 9 hours. And we all worked with support from Ken, so we thank everybody. Some of the residents concerned were billing for meals, and I understand Thomas will be discussing that. No fire drills, and I understand there's never been a fire drill at Whitney Center, but residents have been asking for that. Other safety issues will be covered by Ken in his report. Now let me tell you about the safety committee. The Whitney Center Safety Committee is a committee of management and residents. We meet, we discuss, and much of it goes to Ken for his responsibility for following up on that. The chairs of the art gallery, dining, hospitality, lecture, and film committees gave detailed reports about their group's activities, and they have been busy. And the residents tell me that they're so happy to have a place that they can go to meet other people and discuss things and think as they haven't thought in several months, so that we encourage all committees to please meet. The Employees Appreciation Committee Chair proudly advised, and we share her pride, that much more money has been collected at this time in 2020 than in 2019. And we have until the end of October to greatly increase this. So far, 56% of residents have contributed, and it's an average up 40% per resident. We don't have any other way that we can express our sincere appreciation to the employees by rewarding them at holiday time, and certainly they can use that bonus at holiday time. So I encourage all of you to please contribute to the Employees Appreciation Fund if you haven't done so already. Ken will give the highlights of the Whitney Center residents, as I've said, for the Safety Committee. But let me stress that there are probably 12 items on our list for that. And we have been very concerned about the repair of the holes in the driveway for North and for the pricing of the stores, the corner store, Thomas. And I understand that you're going to be addressing that. And we thank you for all the things that you do for the residents. And I'd like to thank you for this morning, and may the coming year be a sweet and happy new year for all, Jewish or not, because the next year, for the next 12 months, as we Jews acknowledge our months and our days in the Jewish calendar, everyone can be happy and healthy during that time. So thank you very much, and I think I turn it over to Betty.
Thank you, Phyllis. We're going to have Peggy Joyce, our Vice President for Clinical Services, give us an update. Peg?
Hi, good morning, residents. It's so good to be with all of you, even if it is through virtual Zooming. I appreciate your time for me to be able to give you an update on our community. So again, I'd like to say that we have been very successful to date on how we have managed our COVID guidelines, and all of you should be commended for doing your part in keeping us safe. To date, we have not had any COVID in our building amongst staff or residents since early May, residents since April. So again, I'm very pleased and proud that we've been able to manage that as well as we have, but it's everybody's effort that is getting us there. So I do want to mention that the governor did send out a mandate to all healthcare providers on September 1st, asking us once again to test all our staff. And by staff, it is very specific as to who that includes. So it's not only our staff employed by Whitney Center, it is all the private aides that come in from outside agencies, or if they work directly with the resident. It is all our vendors, our contractors, our consultants. It's a large group. It's, you know, a lot of people. It's close to, 400 people that get tested. So we started that process. We needed to do it effective as quickly as we could get that process together. We started it on Monday. We've been really successful. We just have a handful of people left to test to conclude week 1. So far, I've been getting the results in from the laboratories, and to date, everyone has been negative again. So we're off to a good start. But again, we'll be notified if we do get a positive, which is possible, because again, to manage, 400 plus people and have everyone negative is quite a feat. We did manage it in July, but we don't take anything for granted. So you will certainly be notified if we have anyone that tests positive, so that you're aware of what's happening with that testing. So week 1 and week 2 need to be consecutive weeks of testing. If we all go through that testing negative, then the state, because our infection rate is below the infection rate acceptable level, we can then go to monthly testing for that same group of people that I referred to. The state is requiring that we break that monthly testing down into 25% of our workforce and the consultants and vendors weekly. So it'll be a smaller number, but it'll be the entire population that gets tested every month. And that will continue until we're told we no longer have to do it. I do think it will continue for many months coming. So that, testing is, will be ongoing, and we'll keep you informed through our memos that we are sending out as to our progress. I wanted to also talk about, there's been a lot of interest in flu vaccinations this year. The recommendation is to give the vaccination earlier than normal. As you know, we tend to give that vaccination in October, later October, early November. This year, they are requesting that we start in September. We're just waiting for our vaccine to arrive. When it arrives, we will be sending details out to all the residents as to how that's going to be administered this year. We are going to do it differently this year because, unfortunately, pre-COVID, we were able to test administer the vaccination in the wellness center. That's really not feasible this year because, again, we don't want large groups of people. So we're actually going to come to your apartment unless you object to that process. So we will be sending out information as to who will get administered the vaccine when. So just watch for details, and we're keeping you updated in the memos as to when we're going to start. My anticipation is by the 3rd week of September, we will start rolling something out, if not by the last week of September, because we want to start per the recommendations. So watch for that. We'll probably do a floor. We'll separate the buildings. We'll do a floor at a time. And we'll make sure you know when it's time for your particular apartment. If you have a conflict, as always, we're very flexible. We can certainly skip you the day that you're due, and we'll come get you the next day or at your convenience. We probably will be administering them, multiple days because there's a lot of apartments to get to. If you object, just let us know and we can work something out for you if you're not comfortable with anybody entering your apartment, because I know there are residents here that have truly isolated and really have not wanted people to enter their apartments, and we'll accommodate you as well. The other thing I wanted to update you, as I know you've been hearing, if you've been attending Mike's meetings, we are trying to move forward, slow steps, strategically thought out. And one of those steps that the clinical team did start probably a month ago is we are not quarantining people automatically any longer. And the Department of Public Health is fine with this. We don't do anything against any type of regulation. So what we do now is if you should leave campus, we are asking you to please let us know. You can let the screening station know that you are leaving. Just tell them I'm running to the store. We just want to make sure that we understand you're out of the building. There is now a risk assessment tool that the clinical team is using upon your return. So now it's not everybody gets quarantined upon return. The state has given us very good guidelines as what's a low risk activity and what's a high risk activity. So if you tell us, I'll give examples. So if you run to the store, like always, that's a low risk activity. Exposure time is generally 15 minutes or more. You're generally not exposing yourself for a long period of time with any one person unless you tend to stand in the aisles and chat with your friends, which is, something you want to just keep moving in public areas. So that's a low risk area. The other low risk area I wanted to tell our residents, because you might find it surprising, the Department of Public Health does consider a hospitalization a low risk because the hospitals have had lots of practice now that we're 6 months into this. The hospitals are cohorting, meaning they're grouping people together well. So if you're in the hospital with COVID, they have you with COVID positive people. If you're negative, they are keeping you on units that are COVID negative. So Department of Public Health is considering a hospitalization a low risk. So I want to alleviate your concerns. If you go to the hospital, that doesn't mean when you come back, you have to quarantine. So we are doing our job to make sure we understand where you were located in that hospital to make sure that it was a low risk area. The high risk group are those groups, if you tell us that you went to a large gathering, there were a lot of people there, you were uncomfortable, there were a lot of people unmasked, you weren't able to socially distance, that's when we would tell you would need to quarantine. So we are looking at it case by case because we are trying to move ahead. I know a lot of people are avoiding those activities because they don't want to be quarantined, which is a great thing because you don't want to put yourself at risk. The large gatherings is where the clinical teams comfortableness, if that's such a phrase, comes into play. So if you're really putting yourself in risky situations, that's when we would recommend that you quarantine for the safety of not only yourself, but for the entire community. So if you have any questions, I appreciate a lot of residents come and see me in the course of a day and they talk about their plans. This is what I'm thinking, does this sound okay? What should I avoid? And I appreciate those conversations because then I can give you some guidance. Someone recently came to me, they're planning a trip to Cape Cod. They wanted to know kind of the do's and don'ts. We were able to work through it and they're going because people do need that time. We understand the impact on everyone's emotional well-being. So please, if you have questions, come see me, send me an email. And I can work with you to help you figure out how to make your plans work if possible. The last thing I was wanting to comment on is I recently received a request from the resident council to look into placing EpiPens throughout the campus. EpiPens are given to individuals who have allergies, such as, I'm sure you probably heard of it, for bee stings. So some people are highly allergic to a bee sting, and if they are allergic and they don't have an EpiPen, within their reach, they can actually, have their throat close off and run into problems. So I was asked to leave EpiPens kind of strategically throughout the campus, and I just wanted to comment that we can't do that. An EpiPen is prescribed for an individual. It's not, I can't leave it out for general use. So my recommendation would be, if you know you have an allergy and you have an EpiPen, please let community health nursing know so we can actually we can have the documentation so nurses know who those people are so that they know if that particular resident gets stung by a bee, we can come to their aid quickly. Sometimes you don't know you have an allergy until you get stung by a bee. And in those cases, we would call 911. A nurse cannot administer a medication without a physician's order. We can't take your word for it. It's out of our scope of practice. We have to actually have written documentation from a doctor saying you can have an EpiPen. Time is of the essence. So that's why if you have the need for an EpiPen, you should carry it with you and make sure we can administer that as quickly as possible if we know that you have that doctor's order. And we can follow up and just get something in our record that gives us permission to administer it. So it's not that the nurse can't administer it. However, most people that have EpiPens, they're taught how to self-administer. So they usually can do it for themselves because, again, time is of the essence. So again, if you have specific questions, but unfortunately, Phyllis, as I said, I can't leave them out in the community for public use. So I think that's the end of my report, and I appreciate your time today and continue the great work that everybody is doing. I really appreciate it. The entire team appreciates it.
Thank you, Peggy. We're going to go ahead and move on to Michelle Pandolfi, our Vice President for Enrichment Services. Michelle?
Thanks, Mike. Hello, everyone. I wanted to just give you a little overview of the Enrichment Services Department, especially for you new residents. Welcome to Whitney Center. The Enrichment Services Department actually comprises the Community Resource Team, which is spiritual care, well-being and social work, our liaisons, and then our fitness and movement team. The other part of Enrichment Services is our Thrive at Home program. So under spiritual care, we welcome back Maria LaSala. You heard her at the beginning of this program. Maria's back from her summer hiatus. So she's available. She's available to meet with you, being socially distanced and coronavirus safe there, as well as via phone or video. So please reach out to her if you need to. Our well-being coordinator is Laura Sorensen. She provides the emotional support and resources for our residents. In August, Laura worked with 121 different residents. She also is available for calls, video chats, or to socially distance and meet up in person. And every week she's actually hosting a women's call. That before COVID, that was once a month, but we have moved that to once a week. There's a small group of steadfast people who attend every week, but certainly they're always welcoming new people. So if you'd like to get involved with that group, please reach out to Laura. Our liaisons are Mary, Lynn, and Wanda. So when you have any questions, concerns, you don't know where to turn, give them a call. They're the ones that'll help you navigate Whitney Center. Last month, the liaisons provided assistance 141 different times to 87 different residents. And our fitness and movement team, Robert is the lead of that team with Jackie and Juliana. And they're excited to see so many of you making appointments, getting back in the pool, getting back on those treadmills and lifting those weights. So certainly reach out to them. They're happy to help you restart any of your fitness programs and just to start moving. The fitness center and the pool are open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10:30 to 4:30. And then on Tuesday and Thursday, they're open 7:30 to 2:30. So you can sign up for the resistance exercise room, individual pieces of cardio equipment, lap swims or pool classes. And finally, our Thrive at Home program, which is myself and Tricia DeLella, as well as Kathy Smock. Our Thrive at Home program is a membership-based program. It's designed for people who actually want to stay in their own homes or aren't yet ready to move to a community like Whitney Center. The program provides the opportunity for those people to secure their future care while also getting all the coordination of that care. So we welcome 2 new Thrive at Home members in August, Carl Savant and Sylvia De Silva. They're actually in New York City with also a home in Guilford. And so currently we have welcomed 64 overall members into the program since our inception, which was 4 years ago. And we have an active membership of 62 members. So that's all for us from Enrichment Services, Mike.
Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it. We're going to go to Ken Sandberg, our Vice President for Lifestyle Services, and he and a few members of his team will give some departmental reports. Ken?
Thanks, Mike. So Lifestyle Services comprises of the dining, resident services, and facilities. And shortly, Thomas heads our dining department, and Maria Freda heads our resident services. Will be giving updates. But in the meanwhile, we continue to appreciate your patience as we modify and adjust our operations to keep you and our staff safe and healthy during this period. I just want to remind residents as we continue to reopen space for certain resident groups to meet, we do need to continue screening residents in group activities. And what we've been doing lately is we've really been using our screening stations. And so we really want you to go to our screening stations when you come down in the morning. And once you get screened once and you stay on our campus, that's good for all activities. So I want you to know that. Just remember to keep your dot on you and be ready to show that. However, if you do leave the campus and do not follow our guidelines, our Whitney Center guidelines, when you leave the campus, you will need to be rescreened and assessed by our clinical staff that Peggy did mention. And Peggy and I will work together to write up some of this stuff to make it clear, because I know there is some confusion around coming to the screening stations and getting screened. So we'll work very closely on that. I do have a few other quick updates I do want to pass along to you that Mrs. Medvedow mentioned. In terms of our north driveway, there are a few holes by that north front circle. The asphalt plants will be opening September 28th. So soon after, we will be having those holes repaired. Through our memos, through our twice weekly memos, I'll be updating you on the timeline for that. There was a question about fire alarms and when the all clear goes off. The all clear should go off after the fire alarm has been cleared and everything is deemed safe. We did find some inconsistencies, so we are working through that. But I want to assure you that once everything is deemed safe, the all clear should go off. So we'll work on that process. In terms of the resident council safety committee, Mrs. Medvedow and I and a committee did meet a few weeks ago. Mrs. Medvedow did bring many requests and questions to us to take a look at and to respond to. This is a committee that started basically in the beginning of 2019. And from the management and residents meeting together, there was a document that was created for 2019 that created a number of safety items. This work will continue. The items that were brought to my attention, our attention, will be responded to appropriately through a safety report. We will also be responding, working with the resident committee, our next resident safety committee, our next committee meeting, September 24th. I'll be responding back at the next town meeting as well and reporting on some of the items that were brought to my attention. So this is we're continuing going to be working together on that. One item that of note that I will mention here, and we will put in writing sooner rather than later, is when we have a power loss. What happens? What's on the generator? There is a list of items. I'm not going to go through that here, but we will get that in writing through our safety report. But our power loss, quite frankly, we are in the hurricane season, so one of our biggest emergencies or issues could be a power loss. So just so everybody realizes this, in the south building, every apartment in the south building does have an outlet with a red dot in the master bedroom. That is on the generator. Also in the south building, in the front entryway, there is a light on the generator, but the switch needs to be placed up. We will put this in writing, but for this meeting, I just wanted everybody to be aware of that. In the north building, the hallways are all well lit. There are no lights on the generator in the apartments in the north building apartments. So for that reason, we really do advocate that you all have a flashlight. We do have flashlights available at our corner store. So please, if you do not have a flashlight, please visit our or call our corner store and we can get one delivered to you. There are many other items that we will be addressing that will be in writing, but I just really wanted to make sure that the residents are aware that we appreciate the items that were brought to our attention, that we are actively working on that. In terms of the corner store, I will address that. Mike did address that at the resident council meeting early this week on Monday. I will quickly address that now. And Mike, I ask you if you want to chime in, you can certainly go ahead. But we did do an analysis. We took a look at approximately 17 commonly purchased items in our corner store. We compared that to Stop and Shop and ShopRite because that's where most of our residents do get items delivered from. And on average, if we just look at the price of the items, we're about 19% higher. But once we factor in the delivery cost, we're only on average 3% higher. So when we took a look at the analysis, we felt that being 3% higher and pretty much on-demand delivery seems to makes sense. For instance, Stop and Shop and ShopRite do not deliver same day. We actually deliver same day and sometimes within an hour. So we did do that analysis and we are comfortable with our pricing. Mike, I'm not sure if you wanted to add to that or not. Okay. In the spirit of time, the department directors, Thomas and Maria, will give reports from their departments. I do want to just let everybody know that I can be found. You can email, call me, call our directors if you have any questions or any concerns, and we should respond promptly to your questions or concerns. And with that, I will pass the baton over to Maria Freda.
Thank you, Ken. Good morning, everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Maria Freda, Director of Resident Services, and as always, it is a pleasure to share my morning with you. And a very special hello and welcome to new residents and the Thrive at Home members. Resident Services has been reviewing, evaluating, and implementing new approaches to connecting with the resident community. Our services are designed to provide you with drivers who offer you a safe and reliable transportation to your essential medical appointments, and stylists in the spa who attend to your beauty needs and welcome the chance to catch up with your latest news during your appointments in or outside of the salon. There are security guards who offer you the reassurance of maintaining the safety and security of your living and social spaces. And they are also there to see that your packages, resident memos, and more arrive at your door gently and in a timely fashion. And then there are the receptionists who are at their desks looking forward to seeing you, eager to answer your questions, offer you guidance, and always there to wish you a beautiful day. Over the last month, the department has also extended its reach by managing the content and the broadcasting of Channel 102, as well as producing the This Is Your My Life WC Life newsletter, which is meant to keep you informed, engaged, and on schedule, offering you the latest happenings such as upcoming events, featured articles, remembrance memorials, meeting announcements, and general WC news as it relates to your WC life. Here are a few updates. In October, the Film Committee will be adding 3 additional showings to its schedule. The BBC drama series Outlander will be presented by Chris Johnson at 2:15 p.m. on Monday afternoons in the 6th floor Common. In addition to the afternoon featured movies offered Monday through Friday, a special evening movie will be offered on Wednesdays at 7:30 in the 6th floor Common and on Saturday evenings at 7:30 in the CAC. The Lecture Committee, determined to bring its lectures back, experimented with a trifecta test run of airing Mike McBride's Whitney Center and the Powder Farm from the air last Monday via Channel 102, a Zoom connection, and a socially distanced viewing party of sorts in the CAC. And it worked. They're still tweaking a few things, but the Lecture Committee will air its first program for the season on Monday, October 5th at 7:30, and details will follow. On October 6th, we're so excited that the Art Gallery Committee will reveal the newest Resident Treasure art exhibit along Main Street. There will not be an open reception as we usually offer. However, details will follow. And I also would like to mention tomorrow, Friday, September 18th, the POWMIA recognition ceremony, which was videotaped on Monday, will air on Channel 102 at 2 p.m. And last night, security guards did drop off the program at each of the apartments, so you'll be able to follow it when the program is presented. Well, as you can see, October promises to be an exciting month, but with that said, taking small steps to move forward to get back to the routines we long for takes thoughtful planning and safety protocols. That is why, even as Ken mentioned, that is why temperature screening is required before attending an event, program, committee, or an interest group meeting. So please see a receptionist at the north or south desk to have your temperature taken and receive the daily color dot to confirm that you have been screened. If you have an appointment at the spa, you will be screened at the spa as well, if you haven't already gone to the desks. And your cooperation is greatly, greatly appreciated. For information regarding the schedules, topics, and general information for previously mentioned and other events, you will see listings in My WC Life newsletter, the My WC Life kiosk located along Main Street, and campus postings throughout the campus. And if you are planning a meeting to all committee members as well as interest groups that requires a meeting space, please be sure to contact Michelle DeGrand, our Resident Services Manager at extension 2625. And also, for any reason you need to reach me, I can be reached at 203-848-2616 or at freida.m@whitneycenter.com. So as always, it's a pleasure to welcome you to all of our services and to be a part of your WC life. And with that, I will then turn it over to Thomas Hudson. Thanks.
Good morning, residents. I'm Thomas Hudson, Director of Dining Services. It has been approximately 2 months since we've met in this way, and I've missed seeing you virtually. A lot of things have been happening in dining, and we hope you have been the beneficiaries of all these different happenings in our meals and the new things that we're introducing. For my report today, I'd just like to address three small items. Number one is there has been a lot of conversation about the billing and the information available on our bills and our receipts. We've collected all the suggestions and the thoughts and the concerns, We have been tweaking our system, and we are working on getting you a report and a receipt that gives you the information you've been asking about. We are testing that system today. So by the end of this week, we should know what we're able to produce. And if we have to make any changes, we will do so. But most definitely into next week, we would be able to provide you with what you're looking for. If I get it right, you should be able to see your itemized bill showing what you've been charged for the different meals. So it will itemize breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I think that'll go a long way in easing the concerns of a lot of our residents. We will look at what the receipt looks like. We'll talk about it a little, and if we need to do more, we will do more. But you can look out within the next couple of days to seeing a new report that gives you what you're looking for. The second thing I'd like to talk about is I really enjoy the emails and the phone calls and the conversations. They've made this whole period a little easier for me, and it has kept me from being isolated from you. I look forward to those emails each day. However, and I'm not saying I want them to stop. Please continue with them. But I'm currently working on a new feedback card, which I think will be tailored to the service we offer now, as opposed to the service we had before or what we may end up going to. I think now is a period where you need the opportunity to send me feedback on a regular basis so we can handle things in the appropriate place and in the appropriate time. So I'll be working on that. I'll be discussing that with the dining committee, and we hope to, over the next few weeks, produce something that works for us all during this time. And last thing I'd like to let you know is that we are strongly considering offering a pint of soup as an entree at dinner time. We have spoken to a number of residents, and some residents have expressed the bounty of our meals in some circumstances, and that they would enjoy just a soup as an entree, naturally with all the accompaniments. But we are looking to introduce that on our next cycle, which starts on September 30th. So look out for that. If we're not able to start it then I'll definitely let you know. But that is a plan we have coming up. And lastly, I would just like to say, once again, I'd like to thank you all for allowing the dining services team to serve you in the way we are. It's not been easy for yourselves nor for us, but we are doing our best as a team to give you the best experience we can at this time. So we want to thank you for your continued patience, your understanding, and most of all, your acceptance. So I say thank you, be safe and be well. Enjoy the last of the sun before it gets a little nippy, and speak to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Thomas. I'm going to just wrap things up. There's one other item that I do want to tell you what's going on within the lifestyles department, and specifically within our facilities department. Steve Lucia, who's been with this organization, actually laid the first brick in this organization, is looking to take his next step in his journey. He's going to be retiring from the directorship of the director of facilities. We're actively looking for his replacement, but Steve will not be going far because he'll stay on and really help with an orientation. And we have some other plans for Steve as well. I just do want to take this time, Steve's not here, but just to thank him for his guidance and his commitment and his dedication. Steve's a quiet guy, and sometimes you might not see him around, but I can tell you firsthand, there's many times in the weekends, 2 and 3 in the morning, that Steve's at the facility, and you might not know that. His commitment and his dedication really is second to none. We've appreciated everything that he's done for this organization. We've learned a lot from Steve, and we'll continue to learn from him. The transition will not be quick. When we eventually hire a new director of facilities, Steve will be here guiding him along with the rest of the team as well. So I do want to take this time to let you know there will be a transition, probably sometime after the first of the year. And so if you see Steve, just thank him and wish him well. But again, he won't be going too far because we have a few other assignments for him. So that does it for our lifestyles department. And I will pass it back over to Mike.
Great. Thank you, Ken. So I'd like to now turn it over to Sean O'Connor to talk a little bit about our marketing efforts. As you can imagine, the new sales, both in our independent apartments as well as Thrive at Home and in our health center, have been affected by the COVID operations over these last 6 months. Sean and his team have been working hard along with Michelle and Peggy to ensure that we're headed in the right direction. So I'll have Sean give us a brief update. Sean?
All right. Hello, everybody. Currently, we have about 20 apartments that are available for reservation. They are split equally, 50% one bedrooms and 50% two bedrooms right now. Reservations and move-ins have continued despite the pandemic. We have moved 4 new residents in since our last town hall in July, and then 1 additional one in August. So we've had 5 residents move in since our last town hall. We have 5 apartments that are currently reserved, all of which have been approved for move-in. Currently, we're anticipating 2 new residents in September and 1 in October, and 4 more residents by the end of the year. With the pandemic, it's made things tricky. We haven't been able to market the way we have, but we're satisfied with the results that we've received so far. And our occupancy remains slightly above 90% at this point. Our gross entrance deposit targets, we're on target for that this year, which is great. Year to date, we have moved 15 new residents in. 6 have moved into the south building and 9 have moved into the north building. We have sold 6 one bedrooms, and we now have a direct mailer which is targeting, in particular, our one bedroom market. It's reaching out to a little over 19,900 age and income qualified people, and that will be hitting this month in September. It's approximately a 15-mile radius around Whitney Center. We also have hired a new marketing position. Erica Austin has started, and her focus is on the health center and ensuring that people are able to take advantage of our rehab services and understand what Whitney Center has to offer. And she's made an impact already. She's been with us for about 2 months. We also have updated our website pages with new information and updated our search engine optimization so that people have a better understanding of what that health center can offer to anybody. The team continues to work on new leads and existing leads. And as always, I'll conclude with, if any residents have friends who are interested in making the move to Whitney Center, please let us know in the marketing office, and we will reach out to them and make sure that they have the red carpet when they're looking at apartments here at Whitney Center. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. I'll just extend that to our Thrive at Home program as well. If you have if you have friends and acquaintances that are looking for the security of the services and coordination that Whitney Center offers, but aren't ready to move, we also have that offering. And one more thing about our health center, I think it's been a little, there's been a misperception in the past that the health center is only open for Whitney Center residents, and we want to be clear. That's one of the big clarifications that Erica is actually working on to let the public know that we are open beyond for folks beyond our residents. So again, let Sean know. Contact him if you have any thoughts about folks who might be in the market for our services. Thanks, Sean. And so the next report will be our Vice President of Finance, Jeff Devaney, who will give us a brief update on how we're doing financially. Jeff?
Hi, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's staying safe during this time. Let's have a brief update on the activities in the business office. We've hired a new person, Patricia Saltis is a new staff accountant in the business office. She's primarily handling accounts payable. She has over 15 years experience in accounting, so we're really looking forward to working with her. We're still searching for a second staff accountant to assist in month-end closing and resident billing. Once we fill that position, we'll be fully staffed at that time. As Thomas mentioned, we have received some feedback from residents about the billing on the meals, and we are working to improve that process for everybody. And also at this time, we're kicking off our annual budget processes for the fiscal year 21. So over the next few months, I'll be meeting with department heads to develop a detailed plan for the next year. That's all I have from the business office for today. I'll turn it back over to Mike now.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. Well, I think that concludes our department reports. I just have a couple of comments that I'd like to make in closing. First off, let me say thank you to our hospitality committee and to Chris Johnson in particular for setting up what they've termed Conversations with Mike, which is a return to my meeting with new residents. We were doing that pretty regularly over dinner prior to COVID, and that all stopped. And so yesterday I was able to have a nice hour-long conversation with a few new residents, and I really appreciated getting to meet them. We were socially distanced, we had masks on, but nonetheless, it was great to just be able to welcome some folks in person, and I look forward to doing that with all of our newer residents over the course of the next few months. So Chris, thank you, and thanks to the Hospitality Committee for organizing that and getting us back on track. And then I'd like to just put a plug in for our resident meetings that we're having this week. I think someone alluded to them earlier. We're having 12 sessions to discuss how we, as a community, continue to navigate and manage our way through the public health crisis that is COVID-19. The governor, as I think most people are aware, has extended the public health crisis into February of next year, of 2021. So we have quite a few more months of these adjusted operations that we're in currently. Nonetheless, as Peggy mentioned earlier, we do need to recognize and provide some solution for the psychosocial impact of this protracted isolation and curtailed services. And so the conversations we've had thus far have been 7 out of the 12. We have 5 more set up for tomorrow. So if you've not signed up for one of those sessions, there's still some time if you want to attend. If you're nervous about it, we are making sure everyone is screened, appropriately socially distanced, and everyone's wearing a mask. So we are making sure we're following that protocol. We've been discussing some really interesting ideas, particularly around potentially reopening in some measured way our dining services. to allow for residents to eat communally rather than continue to eat in their apartments. I had a resident the other day tell me that her dog is not a great conversationalist, so she doesn't really look forward to too many more meals just with her and her dog. And I think many people can appreciate that. And so we're exploring various options and ideas. I'm taking suggestions from residents, and we'll take those ideas back to our team to discuss how we might be able to reopen dining in a way that that honors our residents' risk appetite as well as keeps everyone safe. Another area that we're focusing on are visitors. We know that as the weather goes colder and the days grow shorter, it's going to get more and more difficult to accommodate visitors, friends and family, the way we're accommodating them now. So we are exploring a number of ideas, and there's some real creativity, and I appreciate all the suggestions and commentary that residents are offering. We're going to explore those various ideas. I will present them to our infection control and clinical team to make sure that we're abiding by all of the guidelines that we should be to keep everyone safe. I expect after this week, I'll be able to distill all of my notes into something cohesive so that I can bring them back to our team and come up with a plan by the end of next week that I'll be able to communicate through our twice weekly memos, probably a week from Friday, and I'll be able to communicate back to you what our thoughts are for going forward. And we've also talked about a few services like transportation and perhaps expanding beyond just the medically necessary trips. Folks have expressed an interest in seeing that open up a little bit. We addressed things like housekeeping, going back to full services. That's more of a staffing related issue at this point, but we see that in the future as we continue to just fill a couple of vacant positions. So the topics are wide and myriad, so I encourage you to attend if you haven't already. And if you're not able, just please go ahead and give me a call or send me an email at rambrosem@whitneycenter.com. I think that's it. I'm looking at my notes. I think I've covered everything. I want to thank everyone participating today. Thank you all for your presentations, and thank you to the whole Whitney Center community for taking the time to join us. I hope this was informative for you. I wish you all good health, a happy new year to our Jewish friends, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks.